Hi guys, Kristie Taylor here. Let's play with resin and alcohol ink today to make pendants. This is not my technique, but I love the way it comes out. It's super easy and fun and gives you great results. What I've done here is mixed amazing clear cast resin, part A and part B, so the resin and the hardener together in equal amounts, and I'm going to stir and stir and stir until it's all incorporated nicely. You're going to make sure to scrape the sides and the bottom and scrape your sticks off. Now see all those little tiny micro bubbles in there? That happens as you mix. So what we're going to do is let this sit here for a little while. About 5 minutes will usually do it. And you can see that the bubbles come to the top and pop. Now I also run over mine with a torch. This is just a culinary torch. And that also helps pop some of the bubbles. But you don't want to do that too much because you can burn your resin. But I let it time-lapse here so that you could see the bubbles coming to the top of the liquid. You want to let as many of those escape as you can before you pour into your molds. What I have here are several different kinds of molds. The pink mold that you see here is actually made for chocolate. So it's like a culinary mold. And one thing that makes it really great for this technique is that each of the little mold shapes has a glossy surface. So that makes less work for you when making your resin castings because you don't have to do an overcoat of resin to make your item glossy. The glossy finish inside the mold creates a glossy cover in the resin at the finish. And then the little clear molds that you see in the back there are some jewelry molds that I bought on Amazon. Those also have a glossy finish. What I'm doing here is I filled each of the cups with resin and I've allowed enough room in each one to add ink. When you're doing this technique, which is kind of known as the Petri dish technique, and I honestly have no idea who first came up with it. I've just adapted it to what I want to use it for, but they were doing it in little Petri dish size molds there for a while, and then some people have done it in baking dishes and different things. So if you know who it was first came up with it, let me know and I'll be sure to credit them in the description box. I want everyone to get credit where credit is due, and I just know I saw this on YouTube and loved the way it looks and thought that would make really cool pendants. So anyways, what I've done here is I'm dripping colored ink and white ink. These are alcohol inks on top of each other. This takes way more alcohol ink than you think it's going to. So just keep going and keep going and keep going. You'll see the inks start to move inside the cup, and that's whenever they're sinking down to what's going to be the front of the casting. So you see this is just sitting on top, so this is way too soon to stop. And if we were to stop at this point, all that would do is just color the back of your pendant, which is also a cool technique, but not the technique I was going for today. So I'm just dripping a color and then white, and then a color and then white, and then going back and forth and back and forth. This is so much fun. It's very cathartic, and you really don't have to think much. You just sit and play, and I can do it for hours and hours. This resin takes, I live in South Carolina and it is really hot here right now, so it's very humid. And when it's humid, the resin will cure a little faster. So it takes about 10 to 12 hours for this to be in a soft cure phase, and that's whenever I like to remove them from the molds. Those little clear molds that you see there, they actually have a hole in them or a post in them, which creates a hole in the final piece where you can put your chain or your links to make a necklace with them. So those are easier to remove whenever you do it in the soft cure phase. So you would demold it and then lay it on a flat surface until it's completely cured. And I do these on a tray, you'll see my molds sitting on a serving tray, and that's so that I can just move the whole tray aside and then put a cover over it while it cures. I have animals, so dog hair, dust, any of those things can get into your resin while it's curing. So I just put it on the tray, cover it up, set it aside, and then demold it about 10 to 12 hours later. So I'm just continuing to fill the molds. I drip a colored ink and a white, a colored ink and a white. And keeping in mind the colors that you're going to end up with, because the colored inks are going to mix and they're also going to mix with the white. So think about your color wheel. You don't want to make brown unless you want to make brown, and then, okay. So anyways, so as you drip the ink in, the white ink, because it's heavier, is going to push the colored ink towards the front of the mold or the bottom of the mold, however you want to think about it. But the part that you're going to see whenever you hang it. So that's what gives us those really cool effects that we can see in the final product. Now these are in all different kinds of bottles. Some are Pinata, some are Ranger. Most of these are inks that I made with my own recipe. So I've put them back into the Ranger and Pinata bottles to make them easier to dispense. So my effects will be a little different than what you may see with yours because, I don't know Ranger's Snowcap recipe or Pinata's white ink recipe, so I just have my own. So mine may look a little bit different. So I'm just going to speed this part up here a little bit because it's just drip, 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 drip. And it did take me quite a while. So, but like I was saying before, it takes a lot more ink to make it sink all the way to the front. So just keep going with the ink. Don't be stingy. You'll get much better effects that way. And I always finish up with a layer of white. That's going to help push those colors to the front. And that, my friends, is all there is to it. 12 hours later, I demolded these, and this is what we ended up with. Now you can see that some of them have the effects real close to the surface, and some of them are a little farther back. The deeper molds obviously are going to take more ink to push that ink towards the front. I love the way that these designs just kind of float on the surface of some of them and the way some of them are more translucent. There's so many ways you can use these. You can add detail with gold leaf. You can add resin or ink on top of them, like another layer. So many different ways. You just screw a hole, put an eye hook in there, and hang it on a chain, and it's good to go. As I use these and create the actual necklaces with these, I'll be sure to share with you how I use them. Just keep in mind that the deeper molds take more ink, and it's super easy and fun to do. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please give me a thumbs up if you like it, and hit subscribe to be hopefully inspired by more of my artwork and creative adventures. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. That would be awesome. My patrons at Patreon receive exclusive content and sneak peeks of things that are coming up. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Happy creating. Bye.